First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
This podcast is sponsored by Ramp. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/easy. Ramp.com/easy. RAMP.com/easy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
It is kind of the weirdest thing in the world. Tomorrow's forecast is calling for no rain. What is going on?
No, it must be a typo.
It's weird. It's crazy. And is Angelo not coming in today? Or is he just
He's running a little bit behind.
Okay, that's because he was out partying last night.
Oh, no. And truthfully, he was getting me a coffee this morning, but apparently he said that somebody is waiting for all the donuts to be baked.
Okay. Oh, so he's
stuck in the drive-thru. I mean, 15 minutes. I don't know if I really believe the story.
He was with us last night. We went to Nostro's opening last night.
How was that?
It was excellent. Actually, it might be one of the best, call it a soft opening. I mean, it was crowded, so I wouldn't call it a soft opening. But usually on opening night, nobody knows what they're doing. The food is rough. The food is late. And none of that was true last night. Everything was spot on, which is typical of Francis.
Yeah, and did he bring staff over from one of his other places? That's why they knew what was going on.
I got to tell you, I think these were all new people, and they were, and even if he did, they're learning a completely different style, a different menu. Everything was. It's different. So it's a different experience. So if you go there and you have dinner, it will be a different experience. It's in the old Oneida National Building, which is...
I love the look of it to begin with.
The look is cool. The Oneida National Building, of course, has that mural of the Iroquois Nation up on the wall. Not only did they keep it, but it seems that they polished it and freshened it up. It looks like the colors are bright. It looks like it's brand new, and it's not. But it was anyway. So you get, for instance, we did. I forgot what it's called, but there's on the menu you can get a sampling of a bunch of stuff, and everything from carpaccio to Italian pasta, and and it's family style, so everybody takes a little bit. It was really, really good. So there's that.
What did you get?
Everything.
Everything.
I mean, it was really quite incredible.
I'm not familiar with carpaccio.
What's that?
How did you say it?
Carpaccio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I was saying it wrong.
So that's a raw, that's basically raw whatever. It could be tuna, but this was beef.
Okay.
Really, really good.
I like the raw kibbe. I've never had carpaccio.
Yeah. Delicious. Anyway, if you get a chance to check it out, they're going back at it again tonight. This restaurant was supposed to open like in March of last year, and you remember we had this little thing called COVID. So it finally has opened up. It was really something. Let's see, the All-Star game last night. Wild, right?
I saw maybe the first
American League just once again.
4 innings, and I kind of fell asleep. I saw, Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit a home run. What was it, 9,000 feet? I
know.
Almost hit it on a course field, which I could not believe it. I mean, I just couldn't believe how far he hit the ball. And I didn't catch the end of the game, obviously. But another win for the American League, no surprise there. They don't. They still don't determine who gets home field advantage that way, do they?
No. I do not believe so. And I'm surprised that some of the things that they've been playing with are going away, like 7-inning doubleheaders and that sort of thing. It looks like those are going to be going away. What are they saying? They're going to get rid of? They're going to make the shift illegal? How could they do
I
that?
don't know.
Here's the rule changes. On Tuesday, Rob Manfred said 7-inning doubleheaders and playing extra innings with a runner on second base probably won't continue into 2022, and that those rules were only installed because of the pandemic. Manfred also mentioned how the league could look at banning the shift, something that is being experimented with in Double-A ball. I think
the shift. So you'd have to deal with it in a way that you deal with the baseline. So if you go out of the baseline, the runner would be out, right? The runner cannot go out of the baseline. And I guess you'd have to do the same thing here, right? If you go out of your position,
you could only have, the way I've heard it talked about before is you can only have X number of fielders on either side of second base. So you could kind of slide your position a little bit, but
okay.
you couldn't take the third baseman and put him behind second base as they often do and have the shortstop cover basically that whole second to third gap. That's how I've heard it discussed before.
I feel like if a team wants to defensively do that, they should be allowed to do that.
They should be able to do whatever they want.
Yeah, and to your success or demise.
Yeah.
But apparently
not.
Agree. Yeah.
I agree. I don't understand why guys, when you have basically 6 fielders on one side of the field, 7 fielders on one side of the field, you only have an outfielder and an infielder covering the whole left side of the field. You can drop down a bunt. They didn't make that illegal, but nobody does it.
Yeah.
It's a free base.
Definitely for the person on second base.
I think that's kind of circus-like, to be honest. I'm okay with that going away. Listen, my son was at the All-Star game last night, and
that's awesome.
Which was awesome. He lives in Denver, of course, and I got to get into it, and I got to be careful because his mom doesn't know. I don't know if I want that out. I guess I'm going to cut that. I'm dumping that.
Oh, good.
But he was jumped on the way out.
What?
Yeah. It was really bad.
What?
I know he was wearing a Yankees jersey, but it had nothing to do with that. It was just some crazy person. Like what we saw, we were just talking about Rick Moranis getting sucker punched in New York City. Same thing happened to him. The guy was quickly arrested. There were cops everywhere. But
oh my
yeah, crazy.
Is he all right?
Yeah, but he went to the emergency room last night. I mean, he said he'd never felt a punch where he didn't know what was going on for like the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, where it was shocking and jarring.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what we were dealing with last night.
So this person ran up to him and just boom,
sucker punched him.
And
didn't know who he was. The guy wasn't at the game. It was somebody outside.
He didn't say something like, "You looked at my girlfriend." Like he gave him no idea.
No idea.
Wow.
Just one of these post-COVID crazy things.
Mental health.
It is awful.
Issues.
What is going on with people? President, I want to switch gears here. President Biden takes a trip to Philadelphia talking about voter rights. Gave a speech yesterday, but will that be enough? Rachel Sutherland is on the line right now. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, the president was in Philadelphia talking about this effort in several red states to pass voting laws, particularly Texas. We know about the Democrats who bailed there and came to D.C. The president said that these voting laws are the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. Republicans are saying that's a bit of hyperbole there, but he called on Republicans in Congress and said, and also in states and cities, counties, to stand up for God's sake. So asking Republicans outright, have you no shame? So this is getting quite a bit of pushback. Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying that basically Democrats are lying about the Texas voter law. I was looking into some of the specifics of this, and it does restrict some mail-in balloting. It makes it, I should say, more difficult for some of that to occur. You have to have a voter ID. It also, will limit drive-in voting, 24-hour voting, and also, interestingly, monthly citizen checks. So they're going to be going through the rolls and looking to make sure that the people on the voter rolls are citizens. So There's some controversial stuff in here, especially with the Texas bill. But the argument that this is the biggest challenge to our democracy since the Civil War, that's a little. From the Republicans' point of view, a little extreme.
Well, I think the Japanese Americans might challenge that. Or what was done to them.
Women.
But we only got the right to vote, about 100 years ago?
Okay, there's got to be a way, though. One would think that we can find a way to make it so that it is... I don't think easy to vote is a bad thing. It shouldn't be hard to vote. But at the same time, it shouldn't be easy should not make it insecure. There's got to be a way to make it secure, to make it easy, to make it convenient, I guess would be a better word, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like any other political problem we have in this country, it seems like if you find a happy medium, you're probably in the right place.
I agree with you there. And look, I mean, Senator Joe Manchin had proposed, not in legislation, but the idea, again, of making Election Day a federal holiday. That can make sense from a lot of levels. And then you have, it'd be a crush on that one day, but if you have early voting as well, then the argument of someone's working, they can't get to the polls. That's a legit argument, right? Yeah. That someone's working off hours or very long hours, 2 or 3 jobs, they can't get to the poll. Okay, well, if you make Election Day a federal holiday and people have to have the day off, there's really very few excuses for not getting to the polls. So there may be different ways that this could be done, but this is something that's on fire. Really, the president doesn't have that many more options. The sweeping voting bill failed in the Senate. The lawsuit they have going against the state of Georgia maybe won't go so well because Arizona got the approval of the Supreme Court on their voting law. So, what else is he going to do?
Yeah.
Rachel, does the new law not include extended early voting?
It does, yes. There are some extended early voting there, and also they have added some hours to I think the polls are going to be open late, 9 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. There's this idea of a ban on 24-hour voting. So that was actually, that began in Harris County. And Harris County in Texas, I remember this from the election, had the most, I guess, liberal policies as to who could come and when and where, and the drive-through voting. It was all very new. But you can do drive-through voting and have it be secure because I think they're asking for the ID there as well. So the idea of drive-through voting, it doesn't sound insecure necessarily. Yeah.
Would you like fries with that?
Exactly. They have drive-through. They have all kinds of things. So, but this has really reached a fever pitch. Across the country.
And the other part of this, too, is if you live in an area where, even parts of our area and some of the inner city voting locations, people wait for a long time. The polls end up shutting down. There might be some people that say that happens because they're trying to impede the vote. Probably not. That is not the case. It's just probably just by chance it happened. But the other thing is, I remember when I lived in Providence, voting in my voting place was in downtown Providence at the Civic Center. This would have been 1996, whatever the year the presidential race was. I think we waited for like an hour to vote. Standing outside, the line was very long. Bigger cities, we don't see that up here. So I think a lot of this, the outrage comes from places where you have to wait a long time, polls shut down. But in other parts of the country where you don't experience that, it's hard for us to understand that there's a problem out there, I guess. And that is a good point, and that's the reason why Republicans make the argument that these rules should be made on local level because every place is different.
A little different.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So, all right, Rachel, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Rachel Sutherland from Fox News. Crazy, right? So, but it seems that we as human beings, your opinion is based on what your experience is.
Sure.
And your little world that you live in is the way it is. So when someone says it's another way, we had to wait hours in line, and then the polls shut down. The rest of us around the country are looking and saying, I don't know how you experience that. We don't experience that.
Should have went earlier.
It can't be true, right?
Right.
Why would you go at a peak time or whatever?
Oh.
But I think in some places, and there is a history in the country where, especially in the South, where certain races were discouraged to vote. And so with that history, and then combine that with long lines, maybe, that's playing a role in this whole thing. But again, finding some sort of a happy medium so that it doesn't turn into a circus atmosphere to vote, and that it's safe and secure. I think Mike says make it easier to vote but harder to cheat. That would make sense, right?
Well, how do you do that, though?
I don't know yet. I haven't figured that out.
We're working on it.
Mike and I are putting that together. We're going to have a program released soon, and we're going to team up with Joe Manchin.
Here's a comment from Nagel. The burden of proof is always on the state. I should not have to prove that I'm not breaking the law to exercise my constitutional right. False equivalencies aplenty. You have to show ID to fly, to go to a concert, to buy a beer. Too bad those are rights. Those are not rights granted by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
True.
You often have to show, the Second Amendment. You often have to, if you're stopped by police, you have to kind of show, I have a right to have this gun, or I'm legally allowed to carry this gun.
Yeah.
In many cases, right? Not a shotgun, but.
Yeah. I guess there are it is, and again, it's if I think that if humans were completely always innocent, we'd never have to worry about any of this, right? Mm-hmm. So, if humans could be trusted, that no one would ever try to vote twice. That no one would ever try to vote if they're not eligible to vote. If humans, on the other flip side of the coin, if humans were innocent, that no local bigoted elections manager in some community would try to impede a vote by minorities, right?
Right.
So you can look at it both ways. That's the problem with this whole thing. But I guess I don't know what's wrong with what we currently have here. I don't think we see a problem here for the most part.
Well, other than that whole people not getting registered and
well,
the 2020 debacle.
You're right. I mean, that was a mess. But I kind of feel like a lot of that was caused by all the changes because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
I like the old voting machines. Getting inside
I was so excited to be able to do that.
I know.
By the time I was able to vote, it was the bubble.
The lever comes across, the curtain is there, you're in there on your own and you vote. I used to think that was pretty good. But apparently it wasn't. Apparently there were a lot of errors and machines would break down and all this other stuff. So, I don't know.
Yeah, the SAT sheet in the electronic thing is foolproof.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Anyway, what else? This morning, we mentioned the restaurant opening last night. Really, if you have a chance to try that out, please do. It is really, really good.